Welcome to Rubric Analysis Part 2. We received analysed representations of people's political motivations and actions. Now myself, Jose and Sean have divided this into three major ideals that are represented in Brave New World, and get ready for some action. Okay, so the first representation is science as political motivation. So obviously we know already that Brave New World is encompassed by an aspect of science. Everything revolves around science, and that's obviously through the conditioning from birth and through the use of soma to control people's emotions. It's all revolved around science and based on the concept of science to control this dystopic realm. And obviously it's the pursuit of science to pretty much gain a social control, which in turn is a political control, because the word politics means the maintaining and acquisition of power. And obviously we can definitely see that through the use of science in Brave New World. So the first quote is, if one's different, one's bound to be lonely. Now Huxley uses some techniques in this, and that's anaglosis through the repetition of one. So anaglosis is like a fancy type of repetition, and it emphasizes a dystopian society that concentrates upon the individual pursuit, pleasure, rather than the greater good of the community. So what Huxley's trying to say here is that one who's different is obviously an outsider in this case. So that kind of justifies their political motivation of conditioning people into the different hierarchies, the alphas, the betas, and so forth. And as you can see here, this is just Bokanovsky's process, if I recall correctly, and it just pretty much shows, it pretty much represents that if one's different, one's bound to be lonely. And obviously these people are all the same, probably from the same class. Now the second quote is, universal happiness keeps the wheels steadily turning, truth and beauty can't. So obviously this is to me and to us, what we think is that this is a heavily driven scientific quote. Firstly, there's a metaphor of the wheels steadily turning. So what Huxley's trying to say here is that, in a way, science, or the pursuit of science, steadily and controls a society, harmoniously, rather than truth and beauty. And obviously it signifies the political perspective of Brave New World, which is science over nature. And as I mentioned before, if you recall last presentation, in the first chapter when the director is taking a tour of the laboratory, the sun shines bright on the yellow tubes, and as opposed to the nature, it doesn't have that much of a focus. So it kind of shows the dominance that technology in this case has over nature. And as we can see in this photo, it's a Somopil, and that's the city, probably the world state in there, and you can see that it's socially controlled through the use of science.
The next aspect of this stage is going to follow is the representation of pleasure as political motivation and action. So, representing people's political motivations and action, Aldous Huxley's satire Brave New World illustrates the hedonism of human desire based purely on the pursuit of pleasure. In a society built primarily on individuality and pleasure, Huxley seamlessly identifies that everyone belongs to everyone else. The repetition of the word one better represents the hedonism of one's own individuality. In the Brave New World, individuals are conditioned to belong to everyone else. This conditioning teaches us the importance of avoiding individualism by teaching the intrinsic good of belonging to one another, thus creating a more stable state free from individuality through sociability and sexual promiscuity. Huxley seamlessly demonstrates the human obsession of pleasure in Brave New World through passive entertainment, revealing that this society is formed on the basis of sensation rather than what people find to be their own perception. This is deemed to be as a result of the news and politics, which are deemed to be also sort of upsetting. In portraying this, Huxley illustrates the essence of human desire and identifies that humanity can be controlled if individualism is controlled through false pleasure.
Okay, so Shakespeare and literature is an important representation of political movements and actions. Shakespeare is able to provide, particularly John Savage, with words to express his emotions on the Brave New World society. There's this quote where it says, "Oh Brave New World." This just shows his emotions on the atrocities of the new society, so like promiscuity, the use of soma and hypopedia. Also, Shakespeare literature provides many examples of the kind of human relations, including love, hate, passion, intensity, and tragedy. This is shown through when John is explaining his childhood stories, including the whipping of Linda, his emotions towards Lemina, and his opinion on Pope sleeping with Linda. So the concealing of Shakespeare in literature has dehumanized people from society because it eliminates all emotion. And this, if emotion were to strive into in this society, it wouldn't be stable because promiscuity and hemophilia and the use of soma wouldn't be so popular. Thank you.